Hey everybody, welcome back to Magic Orthodoxy. My name is David, and we are back finally with another episode of Talking to Strangers. I got in the studio Alex McAleer. Yay!
Yay!
And of course, as how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you? It's nice to
Good.
actually talk to you rather than just what I literally this morning watched one of your videos because I wanted to find out if I should buy a prop. So
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, and then as the title would suggest, Talking to Strangers, even though you and I think we talk on like Instagram DM and we talk on email, but we've never
yeah,
spoken face to face. We've never met. I've been in the same room as you when I saw you
yes.
perform, but sadly you did not invite me backstage. So, there's that.
Didn't we all
So
shoot?
it's
That was
good.
Champions. Didn't we all shoot a "Hello, this is a magic review" thing for you?
Yes,
That was
yes,
really fun. We all really liked that.
you guys are gracious and you did a little opener for me. That was awesome. So So it's good to finally talk to you and finally see you. You're one of my favorite mentalists, and of course, doing all the reviews for you. I mean, Forgotten Princess is probably the best version of the Princess card trick there is. And then your Billet
Thank you.
Masterclass is still being talked about. It's still, I think, it is. It's what you need to it's what you need to own if you're interested in billet work. And then your what was it off stage that you did?
Yes, yeah.
That was so cool and so original. I don't think I've ever seen anybody else do anything like that before. So I think that's still a really good piece.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, that was kind of a fun project because, I mean, a vast majority of people who buy stuff, and like a lot of people are hobbyists or casual performers. So all that stage stuff isn't necessarily for them. So the 1914 boys were like, "What stuff do you do when you're off stage?" And I was
Right.
like, "Well, it has to be good. It has to be the same kind of caliber. It can't just be, well, we're going to deal these into four little piles, and then you're going to think it can't just be the 21 card trick all the time." So I've developed some bits and bobs of material.
Yeah. So we're talking about helping magicians maybe get a little bit more confidence, um, moving from, hey, I'm just practicing tricks and reading about tricks in books, and maybe even like performing some tricks for family and friends and feeling comfortable in that space. But how do we get the courage to kind of move out and start performing magic for people that we don't know? And really, I was thinking about this even before you and I got online together. Mentalism is really magic for strangers. You cannot do a zodiac test or a birth date trick with your mom
Yeah.
or somebody you know. You have to do those tricks with people that you don't know, even casually, because a lot of times you can find that kind of information on Facebook or online anyway. So it doesn't feel
Yeah.
that magical unless the person's a complete stranger.
Yes. No, precisely. I remember many, many moons ago, we were at someone's like birthday get together. I was like a teenager at the time, maybe early 20s. And like the impromptu thing I do then is a star sign guess, using what's my sign anagram. And they said, "Oh, do something for let's call her Sarah." And I was like, I couldn't do that because it was her birthday that day. So of course you could work out what her star sign was. I was like,
That would
I
have
think
been
I
funny
ended
as
up
a
using.
joke.
Yeah, yeah, it's
And
true.
your
Yeah,
birthday is today.
it's today.
Do you remember those early days? Like, do you remember what it was like, or even who you might have stopped and said, okay, this is a person I don't know, and I'm gonna do magic for them, stranger. Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
remember those performances?
Yes, vaguely. I mean, it was always like family and friends, and then like friends of the family. So, people would come over, have a, dinner with dad and mum and whatever. And I definitely did things for them. So they were sort of strangers for me. That was when the nerves really kicked in because it has to work. Otherwise, it's more embarrassing then, you get a bit anxious. But it was still a kind of safe environment, wasn't it? It's kind of, an encouraging, safe environment. But doing it for strangers. Well, as a youngster, I grew up in a tiny little village, very picturesque. It would look exactly what you're imagining as an American, any of the Americans watching, basically like that. Little tiny village in the middle of nowhere. These days, it's a small town. And there was an amateur dramatics group called the Players, and my parents were involved. Parents were involved in that. Like, mum made costumes, dad did backstage stuff and a bit of acting. I was a little kid in shows. In Britain, we have a tradition of pantomimes that happens every Christmas. So all the kids in the village get involved in that. But then I kept doing it, and as the only young man, I got lots of roles. It was all sort of young girls that wanted to be on stage, not really young men. So I got to be on stage and do plays and stuff. But I didn't do any magic or mentalism then. But because that was like a performing environment and they had like short plays they wanted to do, or just one act plays and a night of them, or recreate a radio play, a guy called Alan, who was running a few particular nights, he said to me, why don't you go on stage and do some of your stuff, or just mix and mingle with people and do bits of your stuff? And that's how I first started actually performing for real strangers, people I'd never met in my life and would never see again.
How old
And
are you?
um, would have been 17, 16, 17, 18, around that sort of age.
Right.
So not really young. I think I
Right.
started actually doing stuff in mentalism about the age of 15, maybe, with a little bit of magic knowledge before that. Maybe I knew, before that, I knew how to do a sort of ambitious card routine, but I called it Fruit Loops because that's the weird guy in the David Blaine special. When he does
Yes.
ambitious card, he signed his
Yes.
name Fruit Loops. He's like, Fruit Loops, is that your name? Puts it in
Yeah.
there. And I just learnt it from the Masked Magician show. So I just learnt it from that. Um, but yeah, genuinely, just really kind of terrifying. Or if you meet friends of friends, especially if you go to college or your friends go to college, they have friends you've never met before, and you start performing for them. But
Yeah.
I was so bold back then. Things I wouldn't try now. Like I was doing Banachek's PK touches or PK time. But I'd be too frightened to do that now. Doing it the old school way, no kind of safety net of gizmos or gadgets that would help you. Just openly doing the thing.
Right.
Uh, yeah.
So you were kind of thrust into it. It wasn't like your idea, maybe. Somebody just
Yeah, I think,
encouraged you and
yeah, I had to be sort of gently encouraged, gently pushed to do it. But I'm thankful for it because it is, unfortunately, it is that thing. Well, not unfortunately, but you can't, it's flight time, as they call it. You know, there's that thing about pilots, which is a more experienced pilot is a pilot who's flown more. Doesn't matter their age or anything like that. You can be in your mid 50s and start doing magic. If you've only done a handful of shows or handful of performances, someone can be 20 years old who's done 100 and they are more experienced than you. Um, Yet it is just flight time. And also having performed other things, got used to performing in front of people, learning lines, and then just dealing with that internal, the nerves, or practicing enough so you know what you're doing, regardless of if it's magic or a play or, you know, just standing up on stage and telling a story, anything like that. And I'm still learning that sort of stuff now. I just bought a book the other day about stand-up storytelling, you know, sort of very much in the vein of The Moth, like from, is it PBS that's on, or, you know, the Moth Radio Hour, where people tell a 10-minute story. And I
okay.
bought a book written by someone who does that. And they kind of, it's comedy infused. I just thought, I've never done that. I've never just stood on stage without a trick and just told a story.
Right.
I should probably learn how to do that.
So when you were starting, that was really like somebody else's venue, and there
Hmm.
was other reasons for people to be there other than you. Do you remember like starting out that you were going to actually, you're like, okay, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do magic. Like it was something that you started, or that you like, I'm going to go busking, or I'm going to go find a
I see.
job, or like you took the initiative yourself and created the environment yourself.
Yeah, I would think must have been about 2005, 2006, something like that. I went to some restaurants and bars, I guess that would be equivalent in the US, and just said, "Hi, I do this sort of stuff. I'm wondering if I could walk around and do it to your guests and patrons." And maybe one out of the 10 that I went to actually went, "Yeah, okay." And I did a couple of things, and I remember from that I got some bookings. You know, I got a booking for someone's 50th birthday that was coming up, and just wandered around. I mean, thinking about it now, I must have looked awful, just sort of ramshackle. My shirt wasn't ironed. It was just a shirt I had and a jacket, and you know, because you have to have a jacket when you're performing because you need all your pockets. And I'm sure it was fine. It was all right. And also, there were other occasions where I went to do. I mean, one thing I did do. We have a thing here in the UK. It's called the Prince's Trust, and it's through Prince Charles, who's now King Charles. He set up a charity essentially for young people, and Dynamo did this, aka Stephen Frayne. You get essentially a small business loan, so you have to pay it back, but there's no interest, and you're not beholden to an awful,
Wow.
horrible bank. And I think
Right.
I borrowed like £900. This is in the early 2000s, so that's £1 million these days. Not really. I had to do a little business plan, have a little meeting with some very lovely people. They go away, they talk about it, and they come back and go, "Yes, we'll give you that money." You have to explain what you're going to spend it on. I think I spent it on getting a website and a suit. Not a nice suit, but a suit nonetheless. And some business cards printed. They also gave me my first, I think, proper gig, which was for the Prince's Trust annual event. So I mixed and mingled there for a couple of hours. Did not have enough material at all, but I'd managed it. But it does mean, and their bank is the Royal Bank. It's called
Yeah.
Coots, the Coots Bank. And so
Yeah.
my first paycheck was from Coots. But I was absolutely terrified. And looking back at it now, it is, that was not a business plan that I had. It was, you will give me this
It
money,
was.
I will
It
spend it.
worked.
It worked, and I eventually paid it back.
Yeah.
But that was a kind of a big step. Treating it like I want to do this. I mean, these days I was chatting with someone recently who wants my sort of help making a show, basically, and they have another job at the moment. They have a day job, and they just do this on the side. I'm like, that is the perfectly sensible way to do it. That is absolutely the correct way to do it. You want to get to a point where you have to do less hours of your real job while the magic or mentalism takes over. It's not what I did. That's what I'll be telling my son to do. but, but I mean, that's absolutely the right way to do it. But it is that first step, and it's just you start stacking them up. Essentially, you remember that last gig, and as you drive home, you think about, oh, this could improve, and that process just carries on forever. Every time I'm touring around the UK at the moment. I'm on a break right now, but every drive home, I'm mentally making notes about what could be improved for the next one. Oh, I should do that next time, or this, that, or that didn't quite work. It's an
So if
ongoing
you're walking
process.
around a bar or you are walking around like an outdoor festival,
Mm,
what are you looking for to approach
as in
somebody to do magic with? Like if you were
the
gonna walk up, like if you're gonna walk up to somebody cold, like what do
mm,
you, if you're looking at the crowd, you're looking at people eating or dining or drinking, like what are you looking for to walk up
I
to
mean,
them?
I remember when I was a bit younger, it was just the someone who looks nice and friendly. This was the initial one. Doesn't look like they're going to give me too much grief.
No
But
biker gangs.
no, yeah, no biker gangs, nothing like that. Yeah. I mean, there was one where I approached a guy at a wedding once. I was going to hand him a deck of cards and say, "Could you shuffle these?" And then he lifted up his hands, and he had two hooks for hands. He had no hands; he just had hooks. I was like, "Hey, could you just name playing card?" But what am I looking for? It's what's funny about the close up or mix and mingle or whatever you want to call it, walkabout is you're essentially I think of it as you're a professional interrupter of conversations.
Ah,
So you've got to make sure your material's good and worth paying attention to. But no, having that in mind means you're not just going to rudely interrupt people. You need to look for people who are just sort of casually chatting, not in a deep conversation. Those people who've just arrived, clock those people who've just arrived because they're going to have that moment where they do the small talk. How have you been? How was your Christmas? How was your New Year? Then they're just chatting, and as soon as they look around the room just to see what else is going on, that's when you can walk in and have a pre-prepared thing to say. I mean, it can just be. I mean, in Britain, and I'm quite a polite young man, not that young anymore. Would say something like, "I'm sorry for interrupting, but my name's Alex McAleer. I'm sort of a magician, a mind reader. I've been asked by so and so to provide some entertainment for the evening. Would you like to see something?" And essentially, just go straight into it. You need to have something you're going to say because you don't want to be walking up and just going, it's hi, first of all. And also, I'm not a big believer of that big wham bam, flash string, big bright shiny thing. Mainly because that doesn't suit what I do. I'm a mentalist.
yeah.
Nothing else in the set is. Nothing else in my material is
Fire
that
wallet.
fast. Exactly. Yeah. Not a fire wallet. Not even like a name a number. Look, I've written it down. Nothing else is like that.
You don't walk up
So
with
that
delight.
no, yeah, yeah. Don't go up saying, "Did anyone lose a penknife?"
So that's your favorite opener to walk up to someone to say,
Yeah, it would always be a variation of that, basically, just saying, "Hello, I'm so and so. So and so has asked me to provide some entertainment. I'm a sort of magician mind reader." That just leaves it hanging in the air. Because sort of magician, what do you mean? Mind reader? What, like a psychic? They've got questions now.
Mhm.
It's not. Also, I found like not don't just say like, "Do you want to see something?" Because that sounds weird. That sounds like you could be a weirdo. And also dressing.
It's too vague.
It's too vague. Yeah, it's gone too far into vague. But also dressing in such a way that you're not just in a suit so you blend in too much, but you're not so gregarious and strange looking that you look like a clown. You've got to look slightly other. So I still favor a sort of vintage look to my stuff. So I was smartly dressed. And I knew it was working when I got like compliments. People would stop me and say, "Hey man, I love your jacket. Where'd you get that from?" I mean, I think Ben Hart says the same thing. He's got a Vivian Westwood jacket, that purple one he used to wear. And it was pretty expensive, but it just means he stands out and people go like, "Hey, what's this guy about?
Yeah.
What's this look?" I mean, and it has to come organically. You can't just suddenly choose to have a weird look. I mean, you could. Depends on your character. But,
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, people
It,
are like, what's Sylvester the Jester like if he's doing walkabout? And people are just like, have you seen the guy? Like, but also, once you've been in an environment and you're working like that, people will come to you or remember you. Like, as soon as I've been somewhere for an hour doing walkabout, people are bringing their friends who have arrived. Do the drawing thing with her. I haven't said anything. Just do the drawing thing. That starts to happen, and that's a good thing.
you're still but if you're still like pacing the room, you mean you talked about people engaged in conversation, but what about people that
Mm.
aren't talking? Like, are you looking at body language?
Yeah, it's sort of it's hard to define, and it is vibe based because I've always been a people watcher as well. So I just the gig for me is people watching, and then I go and interrupt them and show them something, smoke bomb, and walk away.
Like, would you walk up to a table where everyone's looking at their phone?
Um, yes, because sometimes you have to as well. If you're employed to do it and you're there for, I mean, in the UK, it's fairly standard to do sort of 3 hours or like three 45-minute blocks of mix and mingle. And that's quite some time. So
Yeah.
people would do these days, especially to sit there on their phone, not really talking.
But
But
what
it's
if
good
like
because
you,
then,
yeah. What if you weren't being hired? Like if you were outside, you're just walking around like just like an outdoor venue and you saw people like sitting or on their phone, would you still walk up to them?
mm, maybe not these days. When I was younger, would I have done that? Yes, maybe. I'm remembering when I was at like college, which is not college in the US. College is like the end of high school, I think, in terms of age. Um, yeah, maybe. I mean, it's hard for me to say because I would have try and avoid it for as long as possible because I'm just very shy and I don't only look at me under my under my terms and conditions. But approaching someone, if I did have some stuff to play with, there was a time when I would just sort of try stuff, and I knew you had to do it on strangers, so I would force myself to do it.
I mean,
It would,
yeah, that's interesting that you said shy too, because I think don't you think that like a lot of magicians are introverts, that they
yeah,
are
it's the
kind of
same in
with
the comedy and acting world and everything.
really?
Everyone's incredibly shy, despite, having stood in front of I don't know, 1,000 people moments before. They're just
Yeah,
very shy.
right. And like I've always found it's really easy for people have come up to me afterwards and they say, is that hard being on stage? And in my head, I'm like, no, that's really easy. It's easy for
Hmm.
me to be on stage because you guys are way out there. When, but when you just walked up to me just now and started asking me a question, then I got nervous. Like I'm nerve
Yes.
if you said, "Hey, perform for three people," I'd be way more nervous than if you said, "Hey, perform for a crowd."
Yes, precisely. Me too. I remember I chatted with Dynamo Stephen Frayne a couple of years ago now, and I was saying like, oh, it's so much easier for me to like step out in front of 2,000 people. I know exactly. I feel very comfortable. I feel more comfortable there than I do in front of just a half a dozen people. And he was like, I'm the complete opposite.
Right.
And I was like, okay, that's why we were chatting as well. He wanted to know a bit more about stage stuff. And so yeah, so if anyone, I guess, about talking to strangers, performing for strangers, I mean, that is a perfectly normal response to be like, these three people, I'm just absolutely terrified of talking to them.
Yeah. And I, I don't know what else advice you can give someone other than you just have to do it. You just have to
Mm,
perform. You just have to get out there and start do that first performance. Walk up to someone and ask them and show them something to kind of get yourself past that
yeah,
hump.
and you'll find you start doing stuff, sort of self-preservation. So you do have to have a certain self-awareness because you might become aware that you don't something about that comes out of you when you're in that situation. You're like, no, I don't think that really works for the magic, or it doesn't really work for me. I don't really like that. So you have to then try and push that back and bring something else forward. And that's just a learning process. And also, when you do it more, you'll discover what people want from you as well.
Right.
Because I've had the experience of like, I like a trick or a routine, but it just gets nothing from people watching it. And I've worked out that's because they don't like me doing that. They probably liked Richard Osterland doing that, or someone else that I took it from. I mean, a good example of that. This is a stage thing. Well, actually, it was a parlor show I was doing. I was doing like a work in progress, trying out some material. Had some friends in the room, so I could chat to them afterwards about what they thought of things. And I did. This was the early days of Rubik's cubes matching. It was before anything had magnets in and stuff. It was devices that made a sound when the things could match. And I did that, so they matched, and then quickly solved it with one hand. Got a fair to middling response from the handful of people. So I chatted to my friend afterwards. I said, "Oh, what did you think of the Rubik's Cube thing?" And she was like, "Oh, yeah, that was interesting, but I just assume that's something you can do." I was
Yeah.
like, "No, I can't even solve a Rubik's Cube." So, and she was like, "Oh, I guess it's just something about you on stage. We just assume you can do stuff like that." So it didn't work for me as a routine. It gets nothing from an audience. It has to be a bit of a throwaway bit if I do something with Rubik's Cubes. So that was annoying because those gimmicks are expensive. But you do learn things that people just don't want certain material from you, and you can only find those things out by doing it and
Yeah.
casually to
I
begin with.
remember I remember even like when I was young, uh, learning karate
Mm,
because your teacher says like, they're gonna punch and you're gonna block, and then you're gonna punch with the other arm and then you're gonna block, and then there's a low kick and then you're gonna block. And so when if you get into a real fight, you're like, okay, you're gonna punch me left, and then right, wait, you didn't punch me left? How come you didn't change you're
yeah,
supposed to kick me low. And like when you do
yeah,
it when it happens live, you're like, wait, that's not the question you're supposed to ask me, or that's not
yeah,
the way I rehearsed this.
yeah. You're not responding how the people respond in the manual. What's this?
Right.
Yeah, yeah. And the same thing happens. Like the audience are not going to be held there at gunpoint by the people filming it. It's like even if as like I've made many a download as Alexander Marsh, and the bit when the crew say to me, "Right, let's go out on the street now and perform this to get some footage," I'm just like, "Oh God, I don't want to do that. Can I just do it in the room with Andy Gladwin or something?" But they want the trailer; they want it to look cool. So you do.
Right.
I still have to force myself now because I think the reason for that though is actually for a demo download, you are demonstrating the trick that you're selling. So I'd always slightly annoy the crew by going like, "I'm going to do at least something first. I'm going to do my
Oh yeah,
opener
sure.
first, and then we're going to do this thing once they're interested."
Yeah, to
Yeah,
warm them up. Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, and so we talked about earlier, like even seeing like magic on stage versus being more close up.
mm.
Is there stuff that you will always have on you when you walk out the door? Or are you not always in a magic state of mind?
Not always in that magic state of mind, but I do. I am always prepared just in case, just because of that fear, really, that I should be able to do this. And if anyone meets me, like they know I've been doing it a long time, so I should be able to do it. And the things I would choose are, I mean, I've got my little Maverick wallet here, has my
Mhm.
ESP cards in, and some coin gimmick things that I released, and a Swami, so that's always there. And I am the kind of person that always has a notepad and a pen on me, so I always have writing material that's not my phone. But I mean, my prime thing to do would be a drawing duplication using like Alakazam's wallet, just because for that casual, could you do something at the drop of a hat moment? Doing a drawing makes a lot of sense because you have to have the two things to compare. It's
Yeah.
all motivate and justified, and it's still very impressive and simple and quick and easy. The method is simple and easy and quick. Draw something, it goes back in here. Now the mind reading begins. I'm going to try and draw
Mhm.
a close approximation, and I've got over time I've developed presentations, I guess we call it. But that would be the primary thing I do. But I do always have a Swami gimmick of some sort. Like my son was now wearing a velvet jacket that I used to wear when I was younger. And I said, if you look around at the lining of that, you'll probably find a Swami gimmick or two that's fallen through a hole in the pocket. And he did find one. He was reaching around, what's this in here? That'll be a Swami.
Well, you said coins. Like I don't think I've ever seen you do you doing that with which hand, or like what are you doing with coins?
Oh, I know. I released a routine called Hot, which was heads or tails, and
Okay.
it involves somewhat special coins, but it's a way of guessing whether it's heads or tails. So instead of guess which hand, not that it
Okay.
matters. I could do which hand, but Darren's very known for that, and I wanted a heads or tails thing really, so it could seemingly be random, and I could control what was happening.
You ever like assess your audience and think I could do something really long and time consuming here, or this needs to be really short?
Well, I like the method to kind of be over really quickly. So, like, draw this, we'll pop it back in here, or think of a name and just jot that down so we got some proof later on, and then assess like how into it are they. So, like
Yeah.
if they're not that into it, I can get it over with quite quickly. Or if they're really interested, the process to get to the final result, which for mind reading is the revelation of I guess your thought, can take a bit longer. But like for walkabout, I would kind of be modular, I guess. So if they wanted more, I could give them more. I had this structure for close up, which I called 33 and 10, which is 30 seconds, 3 minutes, and 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So the opener needs to be about 30 seconds long, about 30 seconds. So something relatively quick, and it could be anything. Then the next thing, about 3 minutes long, maybe involving one or two people. And if they really were into it, then a 10-minute thing could happen next. And then that's plenty. You've spent about 15 minutes with those people.
No, that's for close up.
Well, ish 10 minutes. Like it
Yeah,
could be a
but
short
still,
10, meaning six
that's
minutes. Yeah,
a
but that could be something like a sneak thief style presentation, but it's a bit more involved, and a few people are involved, and there's a process that they're watching rather than just a bit of mind reading or a quick trick.
Do you remember your favorite reaction that you've gotten from a stranger?
Oh, favorite reaction from a stranger. I mean, there's sort of been so many. Thinking about close-up things, I remember wandering around a pub or something that I was hired to do something, and a guy had a book he was just reading. I think I was doing a performance before a show was happening. Like maybe it was like there might have been some poets and comedians and some musicians or something. And the guy was reading a book, and I said hello, and he said, "Oh, I've seen you walking around." And I did Mark Paul's book test with him, and he thought it was that was absolutely marvelous. That was brilliant. And there was something once I said about that people bringing you a friend to do something with. That happened once, and he was like, "Do the drawing thing with my wife. She just arrived." She was like, "Hello." So I gave her a business card. She drew something, and when I turned her back around, she was like holding it against her chest. And I was like, "Nah, it's going to be difficult to get back." So I just kind of went, "Can I take that back?" And she went, "No." I was like, "Okay." So I went, let's just give it a go. Maybe I'll be struck by divine powers suddenly. And I use Banachek's universal drawing, which you have
Oh
psychological
yeah.
subtleties you'll know. And it's the general images of that are sort of a triangle and sort of a circle. And I just showed her, I said, "I'm just getting this sort of thing. It's just a vague idea." And she went, "I knew it." I was like, "Oh God, what does she know?" And she said, "I drew a triangle, but I was thinking of a circle." And I was like, I wanted to go around high-fiving everyone in the room, but I had to go like, well, that explains it.
Instead
But it
of
was
drawing a
that
house or a flower or anything.
yeah, she just went for shapes. I was so lucky. There used to be a thing on a local BBC website, so like a local radio thing, and it had the universal drawing that I drew because it was my first time in a radio studio. I didn't realize there was going to be an enormous desk between me and the host, and they're mainly like in front of a computer with all the dials and sliders and stuff. So I couldn't get to the drawing to find out what it is basically. So I just had to do the universal drawing there. And he drew a spade, and there used to be a picture on the BBC website of a spade and my little universal drawing next to it. Going, it was remarkable, really close. Like, oh God.
You ever deal with hecklers or people that are trying to catch you out?
A little bit, yes. And it is, and it happens when you're mixing and mingling and walking around as well. Hence why the modular you can just leave at any moment. That's the wonderful thing about mix and mingle and casual things. You can just bugger off. You could just get out of there and be like, I'm off, I'm gone. Um, but it can happen. I think it can happen because, I mean, you've always got to. I know some people have like heckler put downs or heckler
Yeah,
stoppers, and I think
yeah,
that's too combative, too aggressive straight away because sometimes people are just excited. Sometimes people are perhaps a little um, rude, or they don't know to keep things inside. But you are asking them in any form of magic to respond verbally and out loud and with their face and not hide anything. So it can happen. I mean, the best way I've always just tried to think, never just assume they're trying to ruin things, but also give it slightly short, sharp shrift. Just don't kind of let them take over. You
right.
are setting the rules, which I think is always good to bear in mind in anything, magic or whatever. Is remember that you set the rules. They're not the magician. They don't know how these things work. If it needs to go back in that envelope, it needs to go back in that envelope, unless they can. I mean, there's that great line from Burglass, David Burglass, which is like someone he like was mixing a deck of cards. I don't know if he was really mixing them or not. And someone said, can I mix them? Can I take a look at them?" And he went, "Yes." Gave it to them. They looked through it and he went, "Do you know what you're looking for?" They were like, "No." "Okay, hand them back." Thank you. Just they don't know. They just have a suspicion, I think. Even in mentalism, I don't kid myself to think that people assume it is really some heightened psychological skill. I'm sure they think like, well, maybe he could have, maybe it's cameras, maybe it's a special pen, maybe it's all sorts of things. So you're always playing that game with them. So you are inviting them to sort of critically think, and if they're heckling, just thinking on your feet, and also knowing your material very well means you can adapt and modify. A friend of mine was doing a show at the Edinburgh Fringe, and I believe he had his deck of cards ready for breakthrough card system, and someone just went, "Can I shuffle them?" And he was like, "Yeah." Just let him shuffle them, and then just did something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that
Is,
golden
is
rule. Like
that
I learned this from performing, acting in plays and stuff. It's like remember the audience don't know what it's supposed to look like.
right?
So yeah,
And is that how you would treat um, something going completely wrong? Like if you realize that like, oh no, this is gonna tank. Like I'm I'm sunk. Like is that what you would do? Would you just say, well, they don't know what I'm gonna do?
yeah, I would try. I would think on the spot, just try and make something work. But sometimes it is just it has just gone wrong, and there's nothing you can do, and you just have to accept that. I mean, I'm touring a show, like I said, and I've written a moment in which it just goes wrong. It's only a small thing that goes wrong, but I put that in there to highlight the fact. I say to the audience, I know you're all expecting that, this is going to come back at the end, and there'll be a big prediction of like, oh, we didn't really get it wrong. Nope. Sometimes things just don't work, and then I just move on to the next thing, just to highlight and flag up to the audience, just like this could really go wrong, guys. Like what I'm doing is difficult, and this is the tightrope walker, this is the juggler that drops the ball. Um, But you don't want to put in too many fails on purpose because when things do actually go wrong, it just means you don't look like you're very good. But yeah, if something did go wrong, just I always commit to it. It's like there's a pretty instantly I know if I'm going to be able to read the mind of the word that they've just thought of, and if I know in that moment that nope, there's no chance I'm going to get this, I will just carry on with the presentation and and just try and think in the moment of how I can get close, maybe fish a bit. But if it's going to go wrong, just allow it to go wrong. Just make it real, but
Hmm.
not because I couldn't secretly read the thing or whatever it might be.
Do you have any like personal rules for your own performance, like that you say like these are things that I will never do. Like I won't do these things to spectators. These aren't props I'll ever use. Like I know other mentalists do this,
Mm.
but I'm not. That would be crossing a line for me.
Yes, There are definitely a few. In fact, when I wrote this show I'm currently doing, I put a list of things not to put in it. So no, no predicting today's date with a number, no Rubik's cubes that match, no magic squares, no four chairs in a line, just all those things, just to start at a point that's not the same as everyone else's show. But if you do those things, that's absolutely fine, of course. Um, and there are other things as well. There's an aesthetic that I like, which I feel is important. Like I'm not quite happy with it, but there's various like forcing bags and such like, which are all very clever, very good. But a plastic bag, a Ziploc bag, looked really weird in my hands on stage. I've got somewhat of a vintage aesthetic. I'm not pretending to be from the past or anything,
Right.
but I just have a style and a look to it. So bringing out a plastic bag suddenly looks gross. Or using a whiteboard just doesn't work for me. Or if I were to put on a metal blindfold, just doesn't look right. Even putting tape on my face to blindfold myself just doesn't suit my style or character. And that can be slightly disheartening when it feels like you're just taking a lot of things off the list as a performer. But then that's good because then you're left with certain things and it means those things are you now. So you can then become yourself and have a certain style and an aesthetic to what you do. But also, like, I always say I'm not psychic or supernatural, and that's partly the sort of moral thing of like I don't want people to go away believing in something bigger than any of us. And also, that's also just a slightly arty-farty thing, of which I find that sort of presentation a bit boring and lazy. I really hate the mentalism approach of like, I don't know how these things happen. They just happen. It's like, really? You didn't even think for a moment to be like, how can I do this? You know, it's just like, I just dreamed the lottery numbers and it was correct. Lucky me. You didn't wonder why? But also, they say that goes for psychology as well. Like at the top of every performance, I say, I'm not psychic or supernatural. I'm not going to read palms of the dead. I'm also not an expert psychologist. I can't look into your soul and tell you what your problems are. What I do is not those. I'm a mind reader. This is a thing called mentalism. Let's go. I just kind of want to keep it there. That's as close as I get to a disclaimer, I guess.
You're still trying to come across as an entertainer and kind of like what they would recognize as a magician.
Yeah, yeah. I don't mind being called a magician at all. I think most people would come away from seeing me going like I'm just a very specialized magician. I think
Mhm.
most people can understand that. I think they know that some magicians seem to escape from things. Some magicians are hypnotists. Some magicians are this, that, and the other. Yeah, I think they know I'm quite to sort of specialize in an area. And once you know that yourself, that's good. You can just focus on something. You don't have to be the sort of jack of all trades then. You can do what you want to do.
And you talked about like types of tricks that you wouldn't use, and that comes from knowing your character. But then I think also knowing your character means like you're not going to do gag stuff either. Like some magicians draw the
Mm-mm.
line and they say, I would never do gag magic. I would never, make fun of my spectator or have them feel embarrassed. Like just by nature of knowing your character, you would never do that either.
Yes, precisely. Like I put a lot of time and effort into the sort of comedy of my show. I'm kind of a comedy performer. I try not to say like comedy mentalist because that implies certain things,
All
certainly
jokes.
to bookers. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna do the no gag and the baby gag and stuff. But I guess mine is more. Someone described too much. It's not observational. It's more like improv show. I'm in. My show is an improv show, or my performances are improv performances, where the other person in the improv is a random member of the public. I'm the only one who knows the rules, and I'm in charge of it all. So that kind of keeps it light and fun. But yeah, it means I know as well that I wouldn't do those types of gags, or I wouldn't just, or make fun of a person or a spectator. Sometimes there's some gentle ribbing, gentle, making fun of something that someone's thought of because it is funny. Everyone's laughed at it, or they're just like, they know themselves, this is strange. I know about me,
Right.
this thing. But it's in a playful way, I guess, in that British banter way. But yeah, I'm not just going to mock someone or make fun of them or just because it's just not nice.
Or mildly place them in danger.
Yeah, no, never done anything like that. And it is hard sometimes to get people to realize that you're not going to mock them. You're not going to break their watch. You're not going to make fun of them once they've got the blindfold on, or
Yeah.
anything like that. Yeah.
So you've taken people's personal items, you've taken their jewelry or their watches or their cell phones.
Yes, for various things throughout the years, and it is just always. I sort of treat it when I say like I need to borrow someone's watch. If you've got a watch, pop it in the bag. Don't worry, nothing's going to happen to them. You'll get in the back in a moment. Don't worry, it's not that kind of show. I just kind of treat it with the sort of don't like I'm not that. Don't this isn't that kind of show. Like don't be. I'm not one of those guys. We all know you're safe.
Hit it with
That's
a
also I
hammer.
yeah like the thing I said in the 1914 download that I did, which was called Masterclass. No, it was Stagecraft. That's it.
Yeah.
And one question is a lot about openers, and I'll modify the language slightly here. But it was like your opener. The only thing your opener needs to say is, "Don't worry, I'm not terrible." Like, don't
Yeah.
worry, I know what I'm doing. We're all happy here. And you're also telling them, like, I'm not going to mock you. I'm not going to make fun of you. You just say that. And whatever way you can say that, even if it's just saying it verbally, that is your opener. And then move on from there. Normally, people need to see an example of that. They need to see that actually he's actually quite nice when he talks to you, and it's always quite spooky when he starts revealing your thoughts. But he's quite gentle and nice with it, or whatever. Once they see that, everyone's much more comfortable. It's only if you then betray that by then mocking someone, they won't trust you anymore.
Yeah. Do you think now as a performer, and you've done both, right? You've done close up, you've done stage.
Mm.
What do you think performing for strangers teaches you about people or human nature?
Oh, that's a good question. I think essentially that we are just kind of all the same, really. We all want the same thing. It doesn't matter your age, race, color, or creed. If you reveal the name of someone's childhood friend, their response is always the same. It's just the, whoa, what? What? Did you? I mean, it's kind of a unifier. I mean, that's why I like performing for large groups at the same time because they're all experiencing the same thing at the same time.
Right.
And if you're performing close up and mixing mingle, it becomes like a little tiny myth for a moment. I mean, is it Max Maven who said the thing about there are four audiences for a magic trick, which is the person you're performing for, the people watching, yourself is on that list, and also the people they then tell about it.
Oh,
Those are the
wow.
four audiences, and always trying to keep those in mind. I think certain methods forget some of those, like a lot of dual reality stuff. Forget some of those methods. They're mainly focusing on how cool you look in the moment, but you've kind of ruined it for three of the four audiences. Um, but I think that's always a good thing to keep in mind. But I think what it tells you about people is, people like that weird feeling, that unique feeling that magic or mentalism can give them, and you get to give that to them. So treat it with some respect.
Do you think about that? Do you think about creating a lasting memory that someone's going to take away with them?
Somewhat. Mainly in terms of I don't want to ruin it for them or make it sullied. Like I don't like people leaving the stage really or leaving a performance. A friend of mine had a good description of it. I don't like someone leaving the stage or leaving a performance of mine knowing a deception has happened.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of the dual reality things, when they're not very elegant, they go away going like, "Well, I only picked from a list of five things," and they're in the moment they can work out, oh, "I see what's happening here." Like a lot of people will come and they expect when you give them that blank card for it to say like, "Oh, be a sport. I'll give you £20 if you say you're thinking of banana." And when they look at it and it's just blank, they go, "Oh, okay, this doesn't work how I thought." I don't want them going away thinking of that, but you can slightly overthink that people are going to really treasure this memory. I mean, I have a bit where seemingly someone reads the mind of someone else and they don't know how they've done it. It's like an automatic drawing thing. And I always let them keep the drawing they've made. And a small number of times they actually keep it. But a lot of the time I'll
Yeah.
see it just left on the table or on the floor afterwards. But they had the option, to keep it if they were like, wow. So you don't want to overthink that. Don't think too much that people are going to treasure that card that you gave them or something.
Yeah. Um, so if you had your own magic student,
Mhm.
what would be your tip then for them to begin approaching strangers and to start getting out there?
To begin approaching strangers, because my number one tip is to do that. But how to begin to do it now? Now I have to put my money where my mouth is, don't I? It would be it would be find opportunities, because also opportunities lead to other opportunities. So just be brave, and I mean there'll be events. There's events all the time that happen, and there'll be venues that happens, or even if it is just for a friend who's got a party going on, like it's their 50th, and they're having a big do. Just offer and say like, "Do you want me to go around and do some stuff for like an hour?" And try not to do it all night. Make sure it's like for this period of time when people arrive, I'll do some stuff. Would you like me to do that? And if they say yes, then wonderful. And then someone might see you and say, "Oh, could you come and do this for my wedding?" Great, we'll do that then. And if you want to do public speaking things, find those opportunities. Like here in my son wants to perform more. He wants more flight time. He's a magician. He does card stuff and coin stuff, and also on stage. His hero is David Williamson, so kind of he wants to do that kind of thing. Close up magic for some reason on stage. Um, there's like work in progress nights where like young people go and they just play guitar or they have some
Yeah.
terrible stand up comedy that they do, you know. And I said, why don't we go along to one, watch it, and see if you want to do it and sign up because your young people can do it as well. And he was like, yeah, let's go watch one and find out. And then he can do that and also do other stuff. Perform more if there's a local improv group. You'll learn some skills there that you can then just gives you the confidence to know that your brain can work fast enough in that environment to do that, or you know, work in progress nights or scratch nights. Just finding excuses and places to perform, and then they'll just lead to other things, and before you know it, you'll have flight time. I mean, I'd like to be one of those guys. Who's that guy that's got that podcast? Babbins, is that his last name? It's just like here's your rules for 2026. You got to make sure you got this, that, and the other. I've never been that motivated in my life. But I have vague hopes that I can do that, and you just gently try and make those things happen.
You ever see like common mistakes that magicians make when they approach strangers?
Oh, common mistakes that
Or you
magicians
see something and
make.
you're like, I wouldn't do that. Like
Yeah.
that's
I think, I mean, just this is just personal taste, I guess, but being overly confident, being overly like, hey, I'm kind of a big deal here. It's like they don't know that. This is the
right.
first time they're meeting you, so just rein that in slightly. And also, I think I'm trying to think of those occasions when I've been the punter. I've been the
Oh
person
yeah.
sat there. Someone's come up, and there have been occasions when I'm just like, "Oh, this feels awkward. I'm not enjoying this." And you can always notice because you don't really notice when someone's really good. When they're just kind of casual and it feels good, you don't really notice it. That's when it's good. I think I think it's that rule I said before. It's like, don't worry, I'm not terrible. Tell me that as soon as you can. However that is for you, whatever the trick might be, it's safer for us to because you've also got to show people what you do. It's got to be a trick or in that bubble. Just being, just show me something straight away where I'm like, hey, that's good. I like you. Show me more. Just starting with that in mind, not worrying about what the trick is. Just that's the starting point. What fits under that category for you? That's what I think people get wrong.
If I okay, so I've got you can imagine I've got a giant, magic closet of just about everything, and then I've got all my DVDs and videos and downloads, and it just feels so overwhelming. Like I've
Mm.
taken in so much, and then now you're telling me, well, go out there and perform. Like if you were going to say, okay, here's your homework. I want you to carry this, this, and this, and I want you to learn you said drawing duplication earlier. Like, would you say
Mm.
that? Would you say like, I want you to learn a drawing duplication and a this and a this, and I just want you to focus on those three things until you get up your confidence. Like, what three things would
Yes.
you tell a student to practice?
Well, I think as well a good place to start where you want to what material to choose because you're right because we have hundreds of years essentially worth of material that we could potentially choose from, and we know so much,
Yeah,
um, too much, in fact.
yeah.
Um, so I would say so. There's a few ways to help narrow that list down that I found work. One of which is um, start with things you don't want to perform or don't like or are not at you haven't got the skills yet for them. So those go off the list. You can come back to them. They don't not exist anymore. You can always come back to them, but get rid of those. Anything you don't like the way it's done, just get rid of those. And then start thinking about, so that leaves you with a bunch of material. So you're like, okay. And then start picking the things that you do really like. Because essentially you know lots of magic, you know lots of mentalism. What do you think are the best things? What attracted you to magic and mentalism? Pick two or three of those and just go do those. And you'll learn, like I said, maybe it doesn't really work for you, so you'll pick something else and you maybe learn something from that. But as a mentalist, I would say for those casual performances or mix and mingle things, I think a solid drawing duplication doesn't have to be clever or expensive. It can just be a wallet.
Yeah.
A drawing duplication is good because you don't have to worry about motivation or justification or anything like that. You just have to take it back and put it in the wallet. There's 100 ways you could do that. A book test is good because if you're a bit anxious and nervous, you've got something to hold in your hand. And it also means you can reveal a word, and some of them have got like clever other little features.
Mhm.
And I would also say don't worry about whether you should use playing cards in mentalism. Just have a deck of cards on you. For my close-up, I always had my wallet, which was for drawing duplication, an invisible deck, a regular deck of cards, which would normally start the night in Breakthrough Card System. So I could do, card calling and all that sort of stuff. But if it got shoveled, it doesn't matter. I've got a peek I can do, or I've got other stuff I can do. A Swami gimmick and a billet peek. May I recommend Alexander Marsh's billet peek from the Billet Masterclass? Those are the 5 things I'd have available on me, and I just do those. And mostly what I do is invisible deck and drawing duplication. That's what I just kind of do over and over again. And the Swami gimmick would only ever come out if someone's like really interested in me, like, how does this work? How did you learn this?
Right.
And then I'd just be like, okay, let's do a number. So just have like a 4 or 5 things you can do. They're easy for you to do. And just go out there and start doing them, and you'll start to learn things, and you'll start to develop your own material and ways of doing them. And then before you know it, you've got a set list.
Want to do some rapid fire questions?
Yes, let's.
All right. First trick you ever learned?
First trick I ever learned was, oh no, good question.
Did you think? Remember that you remember.
That I remember.
Some little
Probably.
piece of plastic you got from a magic kit.
Oh, it was that brilliant Tenyo thing, which might not have been Tenyo. There's a little, you put a ring in a box, there's a little purple cabinet, you put a sword through,
Oh yeah.
you go down, and now it's penetrated through the box and the ring's on there. I don't think
Yeah.
that was Tenyo, that was something else. But yeah, and I want one still.
Oh, you want to go back and find it. You want to find the original.
Yes, yes.
Okay. What's your favorite card in the deck?
Favorite card in the deck? I like the 4 of clubs. Don't know why, just do.
Okay. What's the weirdest or most awkward place you've ever performed magic?
Oh, the weirdest or most awkward. I did like a house party show, and there was just 3 people sat on a couch. That was just, I mean, and a minimum I need 3 people because I was doing the 3 envelope test, and it's just awkward.
Are you tired?
Yeah, yeah, it was just on like just a bunch of houses. I don't know if they intended for more people to come, but
You're like, should we wait for more people? They're like, no, it's just us.
I had to pause at one point because the phone rang because there were still landlines then, and so I was on the phone for a good 10 minutes. It's just really odd.
And you're like,
Yeah.
who do you think's the most famous person you've ever performed magic for?
Oh, the most famous person I performed magic for. I mean, there hasn't been that many. In the UK, I definitely was doing like a walk around gig, and there was a politician whose name I can't remember. Some British politician who's big in the 80s. I was like, oh, that's you. I remember seeing you being mocked on television when I was younger. But I think that's it. I did meet, there's an actor called Leslie Jordan who's no longer with us. Very short guy. He was in a lot of American Horror Story. And as
Yeah.
Champions of Magic, we were doing a TV show thing, and he watched it. He was like, oh, hey, that was great. I was like, oh, thank you.
What's your favorite magic book?
Favorite magic book? Oh, the combined thing of the Jinx, by Anneman.
Oh,
I do
okay.
genuinely go through that every few years.
Yeah. If you are reduced down to only one trick that you could do for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Um, this is one of those things where, like, is this a trick? But it would be probably I'll make it a specific piece of information as well, revealing the name that someone's thought of. They write it down. That little folded bit of card goes in an envelope, and I can reveal that name. I could just do that forever. Be quite happy to do that.
Like a best friend or a person they used to
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Yeah. What would be your dream location to perform? Like you're like, oh, I would love to perform at or in.
Oh, I don't know. I've done a few of them, thanks to Champions of Magic. Like, there's a venue called the London Apollo Theatre, and it's quite well known here in the UK because there's a TV show called Live at the Apollo, which is where comedians do their stuff, and it's fun to stand on that stage and go like, it's the Apollo Theatre. But
Yeah.
venues like that would be fun, the famous venues, and I've done a few in the US as well. When you go like, oh, this is like Foxwoods in Detroit and stuff, you're like, this is kind of a big deal.
You don't have any like dreams of like the Sphere in Vegas or Carnegie Hall or
No, not really. What I'd love actually is
the
there's
Palace?
because I say again.
Palace? Like, for the king and queen?
Oh, I've done a few things where you're there not for the king or queen, but they're just a venue. The people just hire them for stuff in the UK for corporate dues. But I've always wanted, like, I have a podcast which is all about old magic specials, and I'd love to make a classic 90s BBC One shiny floor magic special. Shiny floor is like when it's a studio and there's a studio
Yeah.
audience, and like Rene Lavon comes on and does his stuff, and it's something like that, just hosting it, and it's on at Christmas. That's the dream, really. I just love to bring that back.
Like something that would have been on in the 80s or the 70s, like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
polyester
exactly
suit.
that. Yeah, precisely that. And there's some minor celebrity from a soap opera who's you performing a trick on or something. It'd be just brilliant.
Somebody that in 10 years, nobody will even know who that is anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Some guy
yeah.
comes on with a puppet.
Then there's some jugglers,
Yeah.
and they're amazing jugglers, but it's the most
Like a
boring bit
variety
of the
show.
show.
Like, yeah, just do a variety show.
Yeah,
Like Donnie and
and like
Marie, but make it all magic.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't think you guys had that much in the US. You'd have
Like
like
Mark
Copperfield
Wilson.
or
Mark Wilson had a TV show.
yes, precisely. But that carried on in the UK well into the 90s, that
Yeah.
sort of show. And it was just kind of every Christmas that would be on TV. They finally repeated one this Christmas on BBC Four. I was happy to see that Paul Daniels had his Christmas special from 1986 or something. I was like, yeah, this is good.
You want to be in like a smoking jacket in front of a fire and be like holding a brandy and be like, oh, hello,
Yeah, and the end
Christmas
would.
time.
It's a special time of year, whoever you are, and it would end with a big song and dance number.
All right, so how would you finish the sentence? Magic is
Magic is whatever you want it to be. Is what it is. Yeah. No, but no elaboration.
I was waiting for like the Yoda part, like the
Oh,
it was
yeah.
just that. It was just you just dropped it and it was like magic is
What I mean,
whatever you
it
want.
doesn't. I think
Yeah,
because when you buy the DVD and you buy the download, you are trying to emulate something.
right.
But it can just be whatever you want it to be. It doesn't, no, you can be a highly skilled technician, or you could be genuinely magic, or you could be psychic. It's whatever you want it to be. These are just a set of tools, really, that we give you, and you can
Yeah.
do whatever you like with them.
Hey, real quick, you said you were taking a break on tour.
Mm.
But that I guess that means you're going to be back out there, right?
Yes, around the UK, February,
Okay.
March, April, May, loads of shows all over the UK, and then this autumn or fall, if you prefer, touring again, and then another show next year. Because a few venues have been in touch saying, "Can we have the second show?" And me and my tour booker have been like, "Of course, there's a second show, and yes, you may."
Where would people find all your touring dates?
On my website, which is alexmacaleer.com. If you're not sure how to spell McAleer, it's alexthemindreader.com. That's also,
Okay.
I bought that as well. Or alexmcaleer.com/tour. I post about them on Instagram basically all the time. So it's hard to miss.
All right. That's awesome. Hey, thanks for talking to me and thanks for spending some time with me. I know you're always busy, but it was great to catch up with you and to do this together.
Oh, it was great. Thank you so much for inviting me on. I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
Peace out.
All right. Talk to you later.
Talk to you later.
Okay. Bye.